An absolutely enormous change to Star Citizen has just hit the PTU servers. It was first reported as a bug and now confirmed to be a feature through the most recent patch notes. I am of course referring to the change to medical beds and their ability to respawn in Alpha 3.23.1. Hello folks, Space Tech here, and welcome to a quick video going over the changes to respawns coming very soon to the live servers. I'll go over what the changes are and how I anticipate they will impact the affected ships going forward. I've left timestamps to different ships down below, so feel free to jump around to sections that interest you the most. As always, if I helped make some sense of the change for you, a like and subscribe is always appreciated. First, the patch notes. Here, CIG specifies that they're aiming to make the current PU less punishing on death. To help with that, they're making it such that all ships and vehicles that have a medical bed will have the ability to respawn a downed player within a certain radius. The way they are balancing the different tiers of medical beds is by the size of that radius. In the verse today, you can respawn on ships like the Carrack if you are downed within 20 kilometers of that tier 2 bed. This will be increased to 50 kilometers instead. For tier 3 beds, such as the one on the C8R, you will now be able to respawn anywhere within 20 kilometers, or the old respawn size. These changes are going to fundamentally shake up the way we play the game today and in the future. We all know how incredibly tedious death can be in the verse. One moment you're enjoying the views from the skyscrapers on Area 18 with your friends, the next you've fallen down to the streets and now respawned all the way back at Port Tressler. Absolute best case scenario, you've lost at least 10 minutes of your day. But if you only have slower ships or ones with a long claim time, you may as well log off for the day, because it just isn't worth the time to make that trip back and hold your friends up from their adventures. I understand that death is meant to be punishing in the verse, but as it stands with wipes and bugs, death is often outside of our control, and not everyone has access to the millions of aUEC or hundreds of dollars needed for a Carrack. So how will this impact the roles of tier 3 medbed ships and vehicles? Let's dive right in. First, the RSI Nursa Rover. The medical variant, that is. While this ship is yet to be officially announced, we've seen hints of it at last CitizenCon, as well as flashes of it in the Invictus launch trailer confirming it will be available day 1 of Fleet Week. In fact, it's available to look at right now in the PTU. While ground vehicles have limited utility in today's version of the game, we anticipate their usage to increase going forwards as cave systems and underground facilities begin to grow in size and number. Already we have missions infiltrating and engaging in combat in brand new industrial facilities. The Nursa will allow you to drive deeper into the facilities with a respawn capable vehicle, making deaths there far less punishing than they would be otherwise. Now, if you are to get down in a facility, simply respawn close by, grab your spare weapon and armor, and you're back in the action right away. In addition, the Nursa now gives you the ability to give respawn capability to ships that did not have it before. Prime examples of this are the Corsair and the Constellation series. Simply park up the Ursa inside, and now you have your own personal medical Corsair. Next, the C8R. This ship launched to extreme excitement and fanfare from the Star Citizen community as a whole. It received all the bells and whistles of the new ship polish, while bringing the functionality of the Cutlass Red to a more accessible and nimble ship. The C8R was always known as the best bunker runner in the game, and with the addition of a respawn, it has become the bunker running champion without a question. Your C2 or other large ship is now respawn capable as well. With this change, my recommendation for the best starter ship in the game has likely changed. New players die a lot, and the long travel times can be incredibly frustrating and jarring to that experience. This will help ease a lot of that frustration, and should really allow them to try new things and participate in player events without the fear of a 30-minute punishment. The Cutlass Red has always been a bit of a strange ship. It does serve its purpose as an ambulance for other players very well because of its size 2 quantum drive compared to the size 1 on the C8R. Unfortunately, however, I don't see this change impacting its use very much. As an ambulance, it will still be better than the C8R, but otherwise the size, price, and maneuverability of the smaller ship should still give it an edge, especially as a solo player within Stanton. Once you get larger systems like Pyro in-game, the size 2 quantum drive and greater fuel capacity should bring the Cutty Red back to relevancy. I can't wait to see it back out there in the verse with those lights. Then, the 890 Jump and the Carrack. These two ships can sometimes be seen in the verse today, primarily as a cool, big ship to play around with. As part of the racing community, these ships were often seen as necessities due to the number of deaths experienced during practicing. So much so that there were certain tracks that I would just tell new players not to even bother trying without a respawn ship. These tracks were so punishing that they could turn a 1-hour session into a 3-hour one if you had to constantly factor in all the traveling back and forth. So as a racer, I am really excited to welcome in new players to more punishing tracks like the Daymar Rally. I will say though, if you did enjoy seeing Carracks around the verse, unfortunately I do think we're going to see even fewer of them until proper exploration gameplay is added to the game. This brings us to concept ships. While discussing these, it is key to understand that their value will fluctuate significantly if the intention is to make these new changes permanent. Obviously, the first ship that comes to mind when it comes to medical gameplay is the Apollo. This ship was sold with the ability to place a combination of tier 1, 2, and 3 beds. If this change is here to stay, I believe the Apollo has lost significant value at first glance. This is the same case for the Galaxy, which has a medical module capable of doing the same. Of course, if the changes are to be made permanent, CIG will likely end up balancing this through other means. A few possible ways they may choose to do this would be to have certain tiers of injuries persist for different kinds of beds. It is technically a brand new body, but they could write some lore around how respawn really works to sell that kind of functionality in gameplay. Otherwise, when beds take a resource that is consumed for each respawn, they could make better beds need less of those resources. With tier 2 and tier 3 beds getting respawn, the Apollo, Galaxy, and Endeavour Hope will really rely on tier beds getting much better than was originally promised. I would hope that their respawn range would actually be several times larger than the 50 kilometers for the tier 2 beds. I think even something like 400 or 500 at that point would be completely reasonable, considering the role of those ships. So what do you think? Are you excited about this change? Do you think it reveals something about the direction that CIG is moving in? Or will this just be a temporary change? Do you want it to be permanent? Let me know what you think down below. While you're down there, feel free to throw me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.